Hi, I'm Steve Maher. I'm the Ergonomics guy, and I'd like to talk to you about the Penguin Vertical Mouse. It's a really cool product, and it helps a lot of people with wrist and shoulder pain. But before I talk to you about that, I'd like to explain why a standard mouse doesn't work for everybody. With a standard mouse, right, it comes with a computer. What happens is when you're using it, you tend to pronate your wrist, so you turn your palm down to grab it. When you do that, a couple things happen. If you have any limitation in your wrist, when you're pronating, the way that you compensate is by elevating your shoulder and lifting your elbow away from your body. So instead of being comfortably at your side, now your elbow is away from your body and your shoulder's elevated. And when you start doing that, then you start reaching down and you tend to put more pressure on your carpal tunnel, which is basically your wrist, but you have a nerve on either side. So now if you're extending your wrist and putting pressure into it, you can compress those nerves and that can cause numbness in your fingers. So with a standard mouse, if it's not a good contour, if it doesn't fit your hand well, and you don't have full range of wrist movement, you tend to be in this position. So you're kind of like this. And one of the big complaints that we get is right shoulder pain because people are reaching out for the mouse all the time and then kind of doing this. And that's where the vertical mouse comes in. What they've done is they've taken your standard mouse and flipped it on its side. So instead of having your mouse in this position, they put it in this position. And what that does biomechanically is it turns your wrist into a more anatomically neutral position. And as your thumb comes up towards the ceiling, your elbow comes in and your shoulder tends to relax. And so you're in this position. With the Penguin mouse, what I really like about it is it's neutral bias. So I can use it with my right hand or I can use it with my left hand. When I was in the clinic, people would come in with right shoulder issues from reaching for the mouse, and then we'd always say, oh, we'll just put your mouse on the left-hand side. And if you've ever tried to do that, it's one of the most frustrating things. It's just awful. But for those of you who can do it, if you get a different style of vertical mouse, they're typically right-handed, and when you try and use it on the left hand, you have to reach around and it's really awkward. And what's nice about the Penguin is you can use it in one hand or the other hand. The other problem with a standard mouse is when you go to click, you have to lift your index finger, okay? So you're lifting and pressing and lifting and pressing. When they take a mouse and put it vertically, a lot of them, it's the same movement. You're still lifting and lowering your index finger, so it's the same movement. With the Penguin mouse, they have these grips here, so to click, you're pulling your fingers. Okay, so you're in this position, you're clicking here, so you're not extending and flexing, just like with the regular mouse, you're simply pulling. So it's a different movement and there's less stress on your wrist. And then to move it, it's just a nice, easy, gentle glide like this. And there's a nice base on it so that when you move, your whole wrist is moving too. It's not like you're pivoting on the small bone here in the corner of your wrist. You can easily move from your shoulder. And again, you can then just throw it over to the other side, over here, and mouse on the right, or you can mouse on the left. So this is the Penguin mouse. It's a really functional tool to get you out of that extended and pronated position where your shoulder's coming up. So it gets you into that more anatomical neutral position. It allows you to use either hand, and it changes the way that you click the buttons to take stress off all the extensor muscles in the back of your forearm and wrist. Thank you very much.